It is a pleasure to welcome the leadership of ARTSA Canada, who are with us tonight. ARTSA Canada is the organization of Reform Zionists of Canada, and they have made their way to Holy Blossom because we have two very special guests with us tonight, Yael Vurgan and Linor and Gedy. It's such a good name. They are the Rabbi and the Cantor who serve many of the kibbutzim along the Gaza border. They have been on the front lines. They are spiritual warriors who have been carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders. And tonight we want to not only learn from them, but also honor them. We pray for you every day. It's no exaggeration. We pray for you and for your communities every day. There are 10 kibbutzim in the Sha'ar HaNegev region, which Yael and Linor serve. Some 9,000 people. 87 of them were murdered on October 7th. And 7 of them are still held captive in Gaza. The remainder, some have returned home, but many, if not most, are still evacuated from their homes and scattered throughout all of Israel. And maybe we'll hear a little bit more about that, but it means that their rabbi and their cantor have been crisscrossing the country, north, south, east, west, to find their people and to be with them, to pray with them, to grieve with them, to help them patch together their lives and to build some kind of trust in the future. So, Linor, Yael, it is really our pleasure to welcome you to this bima.
Friends, colleagues, Shabbat Shalom, sisters and brothers, Achim ve'achayot shelanu. Thank you so much for having us here tonight. I feel honored, but mainly I'm very moved and emotional right now. Thank you so much, Rabbi Yael, Cantor, David, for including us in this beautiful, beautiful service. You know, we came from very far away, and yet I think you too also, Linor, so much at home among our brothers and sisters here. I want to thank ARTSA Canada and especially Lee Weiser for all the efforts to bring us here, but even more than that, for many, many years of supporting the extremely relevant and meaningful and important work that not only me and Linor, but also our colleagues in Israel, in the Israeli Reform movement, are doing for years all around Israel. So thank you, everybody. It means a lot for us that we get to speak and sing to you tonight. It means a lot to us that we know that you care, that your hearts are with us. It really does, and we promise you we will take this back home with us to tell our people that there's so many good people far away, but very close, that care about them, and that also means a lot to our congregants. So as Yael, you explained so nicely, we literally drive around now all over Israel, but basically all the years in the region of Sha'ar HaNegev. It's the gate to the Negev. It's the northern part of the Negev, right next to the Gaza border. And we come into those kibbutzim, and we're holding, holiday activities and Kabbalat Shabbat that are a little different. In some ways they're similar, but in many ways they're different. They're less formal and they're a little less traditional. The population we have are very secular Israelis. So we do a lot of Israeli songs. We're going to share one of them with you tonight. And we listen to our people, and lately most of what I'm doing, like 80% of my time, is just listening. And what we hear from our congregants since October 7th is that every holiday that came, since Simchat Torah and until today, they're like not ready to accept it. So they always say, how come it's Hanukkah? We're still in Sukkot, right? How come it's Purim? How come it's Pesach? We're not ready for this. How come time in calendar is moving on? And we feel very much still there. We're still in Simchat Torah. The grief, the mourning, the pain, the longing for the ones that they lost are so strong and so big that we have to do a huge effort to connect people back to the tradition and to ask ourselves, is it possible for us to, after all, get a little bit of inspiration and comfort from our tradition and not just feel that it's mocking us? You know, can we really look at this and find some comfort for our wounded souls? There were even people writing in all these WhatsApp groups, let's cancel all Jewish holidays this year, let's declare a mourning year, and let's not celebrate anything. Well, that's the extreme. We did have holidays, but they're all this really, really heavy cloud above our heads while we were marking the holidays. But in some way, I want to tell you that the only Jewish calendar milestone that really feels completely relevant today is the Omer counting period between Pesach and Shavuot. Originally, this was meant to be a stressful but hopeful period in which the farmers are waiting for the wheat to be ready to harvest and praying for the crops to be successful. So counting the days was maybe meant to help them get through this, tensioned waiting. And later on, some other meanings were given to this count. Since the area we work with is an agricultural area, the kibbutzim are still working the land, are still growing wheat. I think that's the first level in which Sfirat HaOmer was always relevant in this area. We know a lot of farmers that are still working the land of Israel all the way to the border and are, stressfully waiting for the harvest to see that everything with the crops works well. They had years where there were fires set on their fields, and so nothing is sure until you get all the wheat, get it done. This coming Sunday, we will mark Lag BaOmer. Lag, Lamed Gimel in Hebrew, is actually the 33rd day of the Omer count. In the first 32 days, there are customs of mourning and abstaining from marriage. There is a legend that appears in the Talmud, according to which 24,000 of Rabbi Akiva's students died at once between Pesach and Shavuot, because the reason for that was like a mysterious plague, but there is a reason given. They did not treat each other with respect. Later comes a tradition according to which the death ceased on the 33rd day of the Omer count. So that's, again, Lag BaOmer is another, it's a mysterious holiday. We don't really know what it's all about, but this is one of the explanations that the tradition is giving to it. So we are supposed to be right now towards the end of this mournful stretch in the Jewish calendar, but sadly, in reality, we are still mourning, and we're not done with that yet. So last week's Parshat Emor, we read about the mitzvah to count the Omer. Sheva Shabbatot Tmimot Tiyena. And you shall count off 7 weeks. They must be completed. You must count until the day after the 7th week, so altogether it's 50 days. All right? So that's where we're at right now. This year, tragically, we are adding another count. Counting the days from October 7th attack and the war since then. and mostly counting the days that 128 hostages are still in Gaza, away from their homes and families. Among them are the 7 hostages from our region, from Sha'ar HaNegev. This is a poster that the regional council have put out. It's hanging all over the region and in the hostages square and everywhere. And I want to tell you just a few words about them, because we were praying and I was looking at their faces. As you leave the room, look at their faces, look in their eyes. I want you to try to remember at least one name and take it home with you. So on the top of the sign, I hope you can see it, on the top of the sign it says in Hebrew, Ze lo shalem biladeim, it's not whole without them. And really this region, people all know each other. Although they're only from 2 kibbutzim, all the other people know them as well. And they really feel that they're not going to be able to, recover before they see them back home. And so on the right, you see twin brothers, Ziv and Gali Berman. They're in their 20s and they're from Kfar Aza. And then Emily Damari and Doron Steinberger, also from Kfar Aza. So these 4 were taken hostage from the young adult neighborhood in the kibbutz of Kfar Aza, which is located very, very close to the fence. This is why so many young people were either murdered or taken hostage. They're beautiful, beautiful people. And then after those 4, we have Keith Siegel. He's also from Kfar Aza. His brother, Lee Siegel, is a member of one of our Reform congregations in Israel, in Kibbutz Gezer. And so he's very well known in our movement, and we mention him a lot. And he also speaks to many groups that come to hear the story of hostages' families and what they're going through. And then on the left, Tzachi Idan, and after him, Omri Miran. There are 2 from Kibbutz Nachal Oz. We go many, many Shabbatot to have Kabbalat Shabbat and Havdalah in the Hostages Square in Tel Aviv. Kibbutz Nachal Oz is having all his Kabbalat Shabbat over there in the Kikar, in the square. And a few weeks ago, they celebrated the 50th birthday of Tzachi Idan without him in the square, all his family. And Omri Miran, just I think 2 weeks ago, turned 47. And they both have young children waiting for their fathers to come back home. So this Lag BaOmer will mark not only 33 days of the Omer period, but also 33 Shabbatot that they are not at home. So holding their names and their faces in our mind and in our hearts, the words of this week's Parsha somehow resonate differently this year. The Parsha is called Bahar. And there's also a count that we talk about in this Parsha. It's a different count, but it starts with the same words. Remember, the words for the Omer was Fartem Lachem. You should write in plurals. Now it also says with Safarta Lecha. So it's the same beginning. V'safarta Lecha Sheva Shabbatot Shanim. Sheva Shanim, Sheva Pe'amim. It's quite confusing. Okay, 777 and all of that. What is it all talking about? So you shall count off 7 weeks of years. That's the Shemitah year that we have every 7. We have every 7 years we have a Shemitah year, and then 7 times 7 years, right? 7 times 7 years, so that the period of 7 weeks of years given you the total of 49 years, and then the 50th year is called the Jubilee, Hayovel. Okay, the 50th year has a special meaning. Now, this is, I told you, really confusing because are we talking about days, weeks, years, months? What is it all about? But I think, when I was reading this year, I was thinking that it really is what we hear from hostages that were released and hostages' families, that they were not sure whether days are passing or weeks or months, and for a person that held captive, waiting in freedom, every Shabbat must feel like a week, and every week like a year, and every 7 years like 50, and for their families waiting their return, tortured by thoughts of what their missing loved ones are enduring, every hour must feel like an eternity. And also it says that the 50th year is a year where all slaves should be released and returned to their homes. And so this carries many, many meanings for us these days. And with your permission, I would like that we count together those two counts, Sfirat HaOmer and the count of captivity days. And we do it not just to remember, we do it to remind ourselves our duty to do everything in our power to bring them back home as soon as possible, today, if possible. Bring them back home now. And so, ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו על ספירת העומר. So today, it's not dark yet, so I don't know how you do it here. So it's actually 1:30 days, 1:30 יום, but if we count the count of when it's going to be dark, for tomorrow, זה 2:30 יום, שהם 4 שבועות ו4 ימים לעומר, 4 weeks and 4 days. And it is 231 days of war and captivity that are 7 weeks and 5,544 hours of captivity. Now I want to introduce and invite my dear, beloved musician that we work for 5 years together. You can candles out. Thank you, Iris. So Linor, let me tell you, she's the soul of our congregation. And she lives in Kibbutz Mefalsim. It's one of the kibbutzim of Sha'ar HaNegev that are not back in their homes yet because they are in the area that is closest to the fence, and it's not safe to be there yet. So Linor, for all these 7 and something months, is evacuated to a hotel in Herzliya. And from there, we go and do our work everywhere. Linor grew up in another kibbutz down south Israel to the Gaza border called Nir Yitzchak. And again, the voice, the sounds, the music, and the soul of Linor are the soundtrack of our congregation. And Linor is going to perform an original song written by her, and the words are on your page, and I'll return to just a few closing words after that. Thank you. Okay.
This song is called Anenu, Answer Us. One more cloud before the sun shines, one more wave to crash to shore, one more breeze between the leaves rhymes. Nothing is as was before. Oh no, no. Nothing is as was before. One more prayer before creation. Hold us while we thirst for rain. One more day before salvation. As kingdom comes and love will reign. Yeah, as kingdom comes and love will reign. Don't let us burn alone. Don't let us burn further on and on. See our bodies, minds and souls. Don't let us burn alone. Bring them home. One more cloud before the sun shines. One more wave to crash to shore. One more breeze between the leaves rhymes. Nothing is as was before. Oh no, no, nothing is as was before. One more prayer before creation. Hold us while we thirst for rain. One more day before salvation. As kingdom comes and love will reign. Oh yes, kingdom comes and love will reign. Don't let us burn alone. Don't let us burn further on and on. See our bodies, minds and souls. Don't let us burn before creation. Hold us while we thirst for rain. Just one more day before salvation. As kingdom comes and love will reign. As kingdom comes and love will reign. Oh, as kingdom comes. Love will reign. Don't let us burn alone. Don't let us burn further on and on. See our bodies, minds and souls. Don't let us burn alone. Bring them home.
Linor and Gedy, told you, you don't want to miss this. We want to end with a note of hope, because what we do when we meet our congregants is to let expression of the pain and the grief, and also talk about our values and what we believe in and what comforts us and what gives us hope. And I was looking again at that sentence from the Parsha, talking about the Jubilee year, remember, the 50th year. I hope we don't have to wait that much. But it says, another sentence which I didn't read before, it says, וקידשתם את שנת ה-50, וקראתם דרור בארץ לכל יושביה. That means you shall proclaim, that you shall sanctify the 50th year, and proclaim release throughout the land for all its inhabitants. Dror ba'aretz lechol yoshveha. And that gives me a lot of hope when I read that. For me personally, you don't have to feel like me or agree with me. For me personally, the idea that everybody in the land of Israel, everybody one day will be free, this is the vision that keeps me alive. This is the vision that keeps me in Israel. And I hold on to that vision, although it looks so far away because we have so many people not free. But pay attention, it's not only talking about the Jewish people. It says, proclaim freedom for all the inhabitants of all of the land. You were talking about that before, and I think it's very powerful. The understanding that our freedom is attached to the others around us. And we need everybody to be free so we can be free. And, you know, a lot of people in Israel having a hard time even saying the word shalom. I don't mean shalom as high, but shalom as peace. And we encourage people to talk about peace, to demand peace, to imagine peace. What is life in Israel if we can't imagine peace? How can we continue living there without imagining that there will be peace on that land? I personally believe peace is possible. And thank God I'm not the only one. At least one person agrees with me. He's not alive, though. His name was Shaul Chernichovsky, and he lived at the end of the 19th century, in the beginning of the 20th century. He made Aliyah to Israel in 1930. And we want to share with you one song, one poem that he wrote that has music, and we do it almost every Kabbalat Shabbat in our congregation. And that song really, really keeps me with a head up. He wrote it in 1892 when he was sitting in Odessa. So it has this Ashkenazi heavy accent to it, pronunciation. And you know, Chernichovsky was a Zionist, a secular Zionist. And still, I love him for calling his poem, I Believe. Secular Jews have beliefs. You know, it's okay, right? People tell me, I'm not a believer. And I tell them, you must believe in something. And so the original poem is longer than what we do here. We do only 3 verses. Yeah. But he's talking in every verse about his beliefs. What are the values that he's clinging to hold and insisting, although people laugh at him and say, you're naive to believe in that, okay? How can you, after war, how can you believe in mankind? People can be so cruel. How can you still believe people are good at heart and believe that peace is possible? But he says, I insist. I'm still a still believer. And I find that very comforting. And so you have the translation over here. And we would like, if that's okay, to end with this song, I Believe, and we call it Sachki Sachki, because he's telling people, oh yeah, you can laugh at me, it doesn't matter. I'd rather be naive than live in war forever. And I'd rather be naive than say that there's no other way to solve it. Let's solve it. What do you say? All right? By the way, this poem was nominated to replace Hatikva, to be the national anthem at some point. It wasn't accepted, but look at this, yeah.
שחקי שחקי על החלומות, זו אני החולם שח. שחקי כי באדם מאמין, כי עודני מאמין בך. שחקי כי באדם מאמין, כי עודני מאמין בך. רוחו כי עוד שדרור שואפת, לא מכרתי על עגל פז, כי עוד אמין גם באדם, גם ברוחו רוח עז, כי עוד אמין גם באדם, גם ברוחו רוח עז. אמינה גם בעתיד, אף אם ירחק זה היום, אך בו יבוא יישאו שלום, אז וברכה לאום מלאום, אך בו יבוא יישאו שלום, אז וברכה לאום מלאום. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
Thank you very much.